Hi, I'm Freddy Magic. The reason I got into magic was because when I was about 15, my mum met a bloke called Mike, and Mike was obsessed with magic. He absolutely loved it. To get to know him better, I used to sit down and watch a lot of TV with him, and there was one particular instance where I sat down with him and I watched an episode of Penn and Teller Fool Us, and the show was incredible and it ignited an interest in magic. So I decided to learn a little more about it, and then the more I learnt, the more I fell in love with the art, and it's brought me to where I am today. Well, my favourite magicians has never actually changed from the day I started all the way up till now, which was Penn and Teller. It was a Dynamo episode, and all he did in the trick was he got somebody to think of somebody that was important to them, and then their phone rang and it was that person that they were thinking of. The person who he did that trick on is never going to forget that as long as they live. So magic can create a real moment for people that stays with them for the rest of their life, and that's why I believe magic's so powerful. To me, real magic is an emotion, like a reflex almost. I can pinpoint it down to actually a very, very precise day, and it was about 3 months after I'd started doing magic. I'd been sort of vaguely doing it in pubs and stuff. There was a bloke who asked me to do his birthday party, and he said he would offer me £30 to perform for his friends that night. It was a 4-hour party. It felt like I'd been there for 4 minutes. I just felt like it was where I belonged, and it was the first time I ever felt like I'd been somewhere I belonged, outside of maybe a football stadium. In terms of magic mentors, the first 2 years I'm pretty much entirely self-taught. I didn't know anyone that was into magic apart from a bloke called Paul Brown who does Magical Mayhem. He's a very good friend of mine, but he'd be the first to tell you that me and Paul are very different performers. He knew where to find material to teach himself where it was. So he'd recommend books, he'd recommend magicians to look into, videos to watch, stuff like that. For Paul to do that, I couldn't thank him enough because he always had time for me and everything I did. I used to love watching Dynamo. Not for his tricks itself, his tricks were astonishing, but I loved the fact that he could perform anywhere. That was a real key thing for me. And then about 2 years into it, I can actually tell you the exact date because I'll never forget it as long as I live. January 22nd, 2022, I met Peter Turner in Manchester, and it changed my life because he taught me that I was capable of a lot more than I was doing. He ignited a new fire inside me for magic with teaching me about mentalism and performing with no props. I believe that ultimately that is the purest form of magic when you've got nothing on you. I fell in love with hypnotism, mentalism, and he's still been an amazing help to this day. I certainly wouldn't be the same magician if I hadn't have met him. He worked for a magic website and they put on their Instagram, he's in Manchester today, who wants to meet him? And I said, yep, because Manchester's about an 1.5-hour drive from me. And they actually replied to me, yeah, come meet him, he'll be here. I was working at a factory, I was earning an okay wage, but I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And I remember my payday was the day after. So I spent the last money I had in my account on petrol to get up there. And I maintain that's probably the best decision professionally I've ever made. I love Dynamo. I wouldn't want to be Dynamo. I can say that confidently, knowing that if he ever saw this, he'd see that as a compliment. There's only one Stephen Frayne. I wouldn't want to be another Stephen Frayne. I think that's a discredit to him. I don't want to be them. I want to be the first me. And I want people to look at me on the street and go, that's Freddy Magic. I want them to feel like they can approach me and just see, even if it's 30 seconds, see a trick or something that's going to ultimately make their day better. Every year there's something called Blackpool Magic Convention where magicians from all over the world come to Blackpool of all places, and they share secrets, they talk about life as magicians, what they do in their spare time, and everything in between. So I've met a lot of magicians in my time. There's a lot of them where I would consider them friends. I talk to them a lot, we exchange ideas. And one thing I also consider quite lucky is a lot of the magician friends that I do have, we're not similar magicians. so we can look at each other's magic from an open mindset without worried that anyone's going to steal any ideas, or if they do use our tricks, I have no problem with another magician using my trick, but I know that if I give them that trick, they're going to do it the credit it deserves. I love performing close-up magic, but the style of magic I get the most fun from is probably mentalism. Mentalism requires a lot more planning, so it's not something I'll do on the fly as often. If I have the right scenario and the right setting where I believe a mentalism trick suits it, I can have so much fun with it. I keep a red deck of cards in my left back pocket. I wish I could tell you the reason why. My right pocket, any other pocket, could be absolutely anything, but my left back pocket is a red deck of cards. And I don't really know why, it's just something I did the first day I ever did a magic trick, and it's something I've done every single day since. Even if I've got no bookings, I will not leave the house without a red deck of cards in my back left pocket. You'll notice that the box is quite a ratty one. That's actually quite important to me, because the cards in the box are always new. Always a brand new deck, but the box is an old, battered one. But the back left pocket is always a bit of a ratty old box, because I think that just adds a little to the performance. I would say there's got to be a unique blend of natural talent and the grind, so to speak. I think eventually natural talent will always be overtaken by hard work. It doesn't matter how naturally talented someone is, there's always going to be someone who's willing to work harder than you are naturally talented. So now I'd say it's a complete 50-50 blend. I believe magic shouldn't make you change your perception on reality, but I thoroughly believe that magic should make you question it for a very split second. I don't want anyone leaving my performances believing in magical powers, or that there's the workings of inner demons, or whatever the hell people want to consider that to be. But if people can walk away from it thinking, that's not possible, yet I just saw it happen, and just in their head going, what if? And then they go, yeah, but it can't be. That's what I find truly fascinating, because I don't think good magic should make you change your beliefs, but to make you question what you believe in, even if it's for 1 second, that's really, really powerful, because you are distorting people's perceptions of reality almost. If you take a Rubik's Cube and imagine that as someone's concept of reality, you want that cube in its raw form is meant to be completely solved. All I want to do is, if that was a completely solved cube, is maybe turn it twice. So it's relatively easy to get it back to what you thought before, just for a second it's different. I don't believe that magicians should lie and say they've got magical powers. I've always believed that to be unethical. If you perform magic as a puzzle, where you don't insult people's intelligence and you just go to them, I'm going to do a trick for you. It's not possible, yet I'm going to do it. And all you've got to do is think about how it was done. You don't have to know, you just got to think. That's how magic should be done, in my opinion. I'd love to perform for my granddad Green one more time. It would be him, without a shadow of a doubt. If we're talking anyone in the public eye line, I'd love to perform for Penn and Teller. But I would trade every secret I'd ever known to have one more chance to perform for Grandad. The best advice I would give would be learn a couple of simple tricks and then go out and perform them. Don't try and learn as many as you can, because that's what I did at first and that was the wrong way to do it. So rather than learn 20 tricks and perform them adequately, learn 3 or 4 flawlessly and figure out who you are as a performer. Ultimately, I want my legacy, I want to be a good person, someone that young magicians look up to. There's a phrase that you hear all the time where they say, don't meet your heroes, and I want to be the hero that people believe they can meet and they walk away from feeling like I was what they imagined to be. This is a challenge for everyone watching at home. All you got to do is figure out how the car gets to the top, okay? And when it happens, okay? Like that. Okay? That was a bit of a cheat method, so I'm going to show it in the middle for you, okay? And then it happens again. Now I don't want to wind you up too much, so this time I'm going to leave it in full exposure, okay? That doesn't happen very often. It really annoys me. Every time we try and put it in the middle, you can sort of find its way back to the top with no real difficulties whatsoever. Well, that's not what's actually. Ooh. Tell you what. Now it's come to the bottom. And if I put it in right here, in the middle, instead of it going to the top, it turns around.